Future Luke here, just wanted to throw in a little bit of an aside because this video might feel a little disjointed. I recorded the first part originally and then I left for a bit. And in that time that I left, I had this cheesecake from this place called Junior's. Holy shit, really good. Highly recommend. It's got a thick layer of cheesecake in the middle. It's got this chocolate outside. Anyway, yeah, the video. Yeah. I fucking hate Marathon! Is a sentiment that I've heard numerous times on the internet, mostly Twitter. But even still, I do genuinely believe that Bungie has the opportunity to make a really great game here. I don't think Marathon is as dead on arrival as people say, and I don't think it's worth people getting up in arms and saying, oh, we should have had Destiny 3 instead of this. One, I think we knew Destiny 3 wasn't going to happen, and two, I don't think Marathon's development really did impact Destiny's development as much as people think it did. I don't know. I don't have insider knowledge, but I do still believe that the powerhouse of a game that is Destiny, I don't think they would put that aside to take a risk on revitalizing an older IP of theirs in a market that's really, really niche. The extraction shooter genre, that is, I'm referring to. That all said, this video is not going to be me simply praising Bungie. I'm more than aware of the art theft that happened, and to be clear, I absolutely condemn that. I don't think there is any justifiable reason. I understand that they had expressed that it was one previous former employee that put decals on an art sheet and it happened to pass through, but even still, checks and balances. I think it's pretty egregious to let something like that just slip through the cracks. You know, that's a pretty substantial blow. That being said, Joe Cross did, on the second Plame, they did come out and say, hey guys, we know about it. We're gonna compensate Anti-Real. We're scrubbing all the assets and we're gonna build it back up. So that's kind of all I can say about it, because there really isn't anything else to say about it. At this point, we're gonna find out what happens, I suppose, but even if we don't and it's settled behind closed doors, which quite frankly, I do think it should be settled behind closed doors. I don't think we need to have all the details. Whenever it is settled, then it's settled. I don't think it's in Bungie's best interest to let this get swept under the rug, nor do I think they want to let it get swept under the rug. The other thing that I forgot to mention before regarding news, at one point it did also come out to the public that a lot of the higher-ups were making definitive decisions despite what the devs were saying they should do. For instance, a PvE mode that got nixed. I think some other stuff too. I'm not entirely sure if the genre of extraction shooter was questioned or not. I don't remember if that was said, but regardless, all this stuff between that and the art theft, sure, it doesn't really bode well for them. It definitely kind of hurts the public image, but at the end of the day, I do know that the devs want to genuinely make a good product. That's why they have the Discord. That's why they are actively taking player feedback. That's why they have this development update that is, for the most part, purely based around player feedback. So I'm gonna just say let them do what they gotta do. That's all I can say about that. In the same vein of them rebuilding and redoing some stuff, we also did just get a recent update from the dev team. They listed a bunch of stuff. First off, we're not getting the September release like we originally were led to believe. It is delayed indefinitely. Instead of doing another round of alphas or whatever, they're doing closed testing, and they're adding some new features as they go along, I suppose. So first of all, they're upping the survival game, so they're increasing the challenge with AI encounters. They're also increasing rewards with new types of loot and dynamic events, and they're making combat that much more tense and strategic. What that entails, we don't know. We're going to find out. They also said that they're doubling down on the Marathon universe, so they're increasing the visual fidelity. They're adding more narrative and environmental storytelling to discover and interact with, and they're making it an overall darker tone that delivers on the themes of the original trilogy. Now, I have not played... Let me swap tabs. I have not played the original Marathon trilogy in its totality. I have played a bit of the first game. I intend to play the whole thing if possible, before the new game comes out, because I'm pretty sure they said this story is actually canon to the original trilogy. So, and also it just kind of makes sense with what they just said there too. They're trying to shift the tone to be more in line with the original trilogy too. We'll see what that actually means when we get there. And then finally, they're saying they're adding more social experiences, a better player experience for solos and duos, and then proximity chat. And that's all we have until fall. But that said, I did have some notes of my own from when the alpha was playable. Thank you, Bungie, for letting me play. Some of these might be outdated per se, because this video has been, kind of under construction for quite some time now, with how many changes or I guess rather however many updates we've had in the past few months. Some of this stuff might not actually make the final game. Some of this stuff might not even be in the upcoming betas. And some of this stuff might be completely irrelevant to the greater scheme of the game, but this is some stuff that I took away. I want to contribute what I can to the conversation, even if I am just one person. Who knows? Maybe someone picks up on something and they're like, oh, actually, I like this idea instead of that idea. That's what feedback should be. It's not just about saying, oh, I liked this, oh, I didn't like this. It's about building off one another and trying to come to a consensus where you feel you've made the best possible thing you can, And so that's why I feel pretty strongly about wanting to jump in here with what I got. So we got 3 sections. We got my likes, my unsures and dislikes, and then some other things that I think might be kind of long shots, but why the hell not? I'll keep this kind of concise. I don't want this video to be too long, so let's just jump right into it. For one, the first thing to get out of the way, I really liked the gunplay. I know people had a bit of concerns regarding it. I think some people said that they felt the guns didn't feel as good as they did or as good as they do in like Destiny or like they did in Halo. I thought they felt pretty decent. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I'm not very picky with that stuff, but it definitely did feel like a better experience than in other FPS games that I've played before. I'm not going to name specifically, it doesn't really matter here, but to me, it felt like a decent gunplay experience. To that same degree, TTKs did feel a little slow, I will admit that, but I don't think that completely ruined my opinion on the gunplay as a whole, so I'm going to keep it in my likes. The next thing would be the characters or the heroes, which for some reason they are staying far away from referring to the game as a hero shooter, even though the idea is that you pick a character with a specific kit and look and go into the world. Kind of to me, the basic definition of a hero shooter. Regardless, whatever they want to call it, the characters. I like the characters. The identities of each one felt unique, and none of them really felt overpowered in comparison to one another. The 2 that I mostly played with were Locust and Void. And then I played a little bit of Blackbird and a little bit of Glitch. I think I played Blackbird the least. Between the 2 of those, it's hard to tell. But either way, I mostly played Locust because I'm a Titan main in Destiny, and I kind of felt that it would be a pretty smooth entry point for me to just get right into the action. And that was pretty much the case. There's a bit of a learning curve because the game feels different than Destiny. The movement's not the same. The guns aren't the same. Overall, it did feel very similar, and while some people may not be too happy with that because it doesn't feel too unique, I was pretty happy with that for an obvious reason. Then the next character I played, as I said before, I mostly played Void. To be honest, I quite liked him. It was a pretty fun time to be able to just go invis and run around the map and take the quieter engagements. I was mostly using the overrun AR. I wasn't really that good at sniping, so I did still have to kind of get into the action. I did have to push myself in there a little bit, but the invis was a nice backup to just be able to back up if I needed to out of the fight for a second and heal, whatever, or if I just needed to dip completely. I did try to do a few solo runs, and I used Void for obvious reasons, and they went not great, which is fine. I wasn't expecting to be able to successfully exfil with just myself when it's however many other teams, 4 to 6 or 5 or 6, whatever it was. Yes, I wasn't in too many PvP engagements as opposed to AI engagements, but with how often I was encountering the AI and getting pretty heavily weakened by the AI, it made engaging with players that much more difficult. So yeah, I'm excited to see what Thief is like, and the other character, I think it's a healer character if I'm not mistaken, but we'll see how good they are. And the last thing within the likes list, I'm an audio guy. I do music on the side, if you don't know. I always tend to gravitate towards sound design in other media disciplines, whatever. I was a very big fan of the sound design in this game. The gun firing sounds were really good, in my opinion. I'm a very big fan of like the 8-bit-ish sound effects that they used here. I think it fit the world very well. The voiceovers for the characters and the AIs were really good.
Greetings, runner. This is the onboard navigational intelligence. Only if you prefer.
Nothing felt out of place. It all felt like it fit the world. I thought they did a pretty good job here. So good job to the audio team as well. I won't go into too much detail, but I liked it. I will say there was one weird bug I had. When I would fire a gun, sometimes the bullet sound would either only play out of the left or right side of my head. Left or right side. That kind of threw me off in engagements because it didn't sound like it was coming directly from the side. Like it didn't sound like a direct stereo image. It sounded like it was behind me, and that threw me off in engagements a lot because I'd be shooting and then the bullets would sound like they're back here, and I whip around and I'm like, whoa, who's there? And it's just me. I'm just schizophrenic. But that's probably a bug either they know about and they fixed it, or that was just a me. It could have just been a me thing. I don't know. Maybe I am actually schizophrenic. I don't know. It was a weird bug, but once again, sound design pretty on point. The first thing that felt a little odd to me was the game as a whole felt kind of slow. I think the main thing that threw me off was the overheat meter. Now, I understand the importance of it, and I especially understood the importance of it towards the end of me playing the alpha, when everybody's upgrades were unlocked for them, for all the, whatever you call them, the companies like New Caloric and Traxxas, whatever. But I just feel like it was overtuned a little bit. I feel like kind of became a bit of a sitting duck at times, especially with the maps themselves being relatively large. They weren't huge, but with how open the maps were, in a lot of spots, sometimes I just kind of felt like I was a very easy target purely because I was running to get through to the next area of the map, and then my overheat meter's filled and I am stuck. And I think especially Glitch, who her character is supposed to be about going fast, I feel like she kind of suffered a little bit from it. My thought that I wrote here was maybe tune down the overheat percentage, even if it's just for her. Now, I don't know if there were upgrades that decrease the amount of overheat or that make your character's speed that much faster. If there were, I didn't get to play with them. I did see some clips of people going really fast and making some pretty insane leaps into windows or whatever. But like I said, I didn't get to play with that. So I partly blame myself if that unsure take on that isn't really supposed to be a problem per se. But I don't know, I still feel like from the get-go, the character shouldn't be that slow, especially in a game like this where it not to make the comparison to something like Apex, but it does kind of feel like a slower Apex to a degree. Like at that point, I'd rather you just kind of go all in, let me move how I want to move. And if you want to have upgrades that increase jump height or decrease overheat for each jump you do or each slide you do, whatever, that's probably going to be tuned at some point. I think I did hear other people saying it felt a little slow, but we'll see how that goes. I think that also ties into the whole TTK issue that people had. Guns didn't really feel like they were doing enough damage at times. We'll see how that goes. I don't know. I'm not expecting it to be an immediate fix. They'll probably tinker with it over time. But yeah, it felt a little slow. That's just to me. We'll see. The next thing, and once again, this might just be a me issue, but please add a visual indicator when you down a player. I'm stupid, right? I get overwhelmed by information sometimes pretty easily, and especially in a game like this where there's a lot of colors on the walls and buildings, and there's a lot of little intricate details in certain places. It was kind of hard for me to tell when I downed people sometimes, unless they were like right against a white wall or something. But I'd just be shooting indefinitely, waiting for them to go down. And the only marker that you get in front of you immediately on your reticle is if you kill someone, you get that skull. But if you down someone, I think it only says it in the chat. If that, I don't know if I can get confirmation of that right now, but regardless, but I'm not looking there. You know, I just want to keep shooting because it takes a lot of bullets to down a player already. And so I'd rather just make sure that I'm actually aiming correctly. So if I could just get like just a little like ding or something on the reticle or just in the middle of the screen to say, hey, you downed the player, that would be pretty good. Once again, that might just be a me thing because I can't see, but that's another thing. The next thing, consumables. They were sprawled out on the ground and on shelves and this and that. I had this innate sense to want to just immediately use them, but you can't do that, or at least you couldn't do that in the alpha. You couldn't just use them right off the ground. You'd have to put them in your inventory and then use them. And that's probably so that if you're in an engagement, especially with players, you wouldn't just be able to go into a building, use a consumable, and then run back out and continue the fight if you have like a tactical regen speed upgrade or whatever the fuck. But to a degree, I feel like that would kind of be a good thing to have. One, it's just kind of annoying I know that this game is partly inventory management, but it just felt more annoying than it did like a gameplay feature. It just felt more like a pain in the ass to have to, okay, let me hit tab. Okay, let me drag this out. Okay, let me bring this in. Okay, do I want to use this? Do I want to save it? Do I want to keep the thing that I just dropped because my backpack's not full? Oh shit, the AI is coming my way. I gotta make sure I shoot them now. Nope, all right, well, I just lost whatever it was, or I just died. Or I just died. But either way, it just felt like it was adding to the overall slowness of the game. So if that's something to consider, please let us use consumables off the ground. Okay, then we're gonna move on to the story part. Not really story, but like the objectives. This might have just been because it was the alpha, so they weren't giving us everything that we will be able to do, but it felt like there wasn't a lot of contract type variety. It was mostly just go to a certain place, do a thing, or collect a thing, and then leave. And some of the contracts had you going to different maps. Like one would have you go to Dire Marsh twice, and then Perimeter once, and then you'd complete it. But I feel like with how the game is structured as an extraction shooter, it just makes it kind of tedious. I don't know, maybe that's the intention. I'm not opposed to world building by having you explore different maps. I think that's great. I mean, Destiny thrives when it has you exploring and going to different destinations to do things, at least in my opinion. But here it just kind of made it feel a little slow. There's a very good chance, like I said, that this was not the only amount of contracts we're gonna get. And that said, they did also say that they're adding to the story and the environmental storytelling. So there's a chance that we might not only be getting story pieces from the contracts. So in order to progress, we may not have to do as much with the go to one map, go to Perimeter, okay, and then go to Dire Marsh, okay, then go to Perimeter again. I'd be cool with that, especially because I really like the story. That's another thing that I missed in the likes section. I think this world is really interesting, and the fact that we know not very much about it is also the thing that makes it really, really cool. Obviously, we have information from the first 3 games, but here we only have what we've gotten within the ARG, both ARGs, and we only have what we've gotten out of the contracts from the alpha. I'm excited for the story, but I just think that the contracts that are telling the story may need a bit of tweaking or just a little bit more variety, whatever. And then my final dislike, I guess, it's not really a dislike, more just unfortunate. My friends didn't get into the alpha, and I wasn't able to give friend codes out. I was only able to have my own, and I feel like this game definitely would thrive on having a set team of your own. Now, I'm sure you're probably gonna also find really cool people within LFG or just random fill, whatever, but I just feel like it'd be way more fun if I had my other 2 friends that were interested in playing the game actually with me and we could experience the whole thing together. Sometimes it felt like I was playing and I was there, but I wasn't completely there. Or other times I felt like I had to really focus because I didn't want to let my teammates who are randos down. I wouldn't want to let my friends down either, but like, I'm more than okay with being a nuisance to them than I am to random people that just want to play the game and exfil with their rewards and whatever. Yeah, more of just an unfortunate take or an unfortunate point, but that's life. Hopefully they get into the betas and then we can all play. We'll see. Now we are on to my little long shot additions, as I'm calling them. For one, I like the AIs a lot, but I think we need corpo hubs or something along those lines. I don't think they've said anything about a social space. I'm pretty sure it's literally just corpo menus where you get your upgrades and you speak to the AI and you get the story from them, and the main menu and the game with the maps. I know they're adding social stuff, but it doesn't sound like they are interested in adding a social space, especially for a game like this. But my idea with it is, if you have a hub, first of all, it allows you to kind of tailor your experience to a degree. If we're sticking with the, and I don't mean to be offensive, but if we're sticking with the hero shooter thing, sorry Bungie, then the way that you could add customization is by having a little hub where you could go and speak to the AIs directly instead of speaking to them through their little menu screen. They could be unique vendors as well. They can have, I don't know, weapon skins or something, or like little character badges you can add on to your character. We do know there's going to be customization. It's just not going to be, at least from my understanding, it's not going to be like you can get a new helmet and a new chest piece and gauntlets and stuff like that, like in Destiny. But that I think would be perfect for customization because one, it lets you rep a faction that you want to, and two, it adds to the socialness of the game, right? Because if you make it a public space, then there's gonna be other people there, and it makes for a bit of downtime in a game where it seems like there's gonna be constant moving, for lack of a better term. And the other thing I wrote was just more generally player customization in social spaces, which I think I already kind of touched upon. But what I wrote was, from a more lore standpoint, it might not fit, but it would allow for people to create their own characters while not forcing a large overhaul on main gameplay mechanics. What I meant there was, let's say you are in these corpo hubs and you're talking to the AI. Instead of simply having the player be the shell that they were in the last game or whatever, maybe have them in their original body. I'm not entirely sure what the lore of that is. I don't know if we've completely, as runners, completely given up our original human bodies, or if they're being stored in like cold storage or something. Someone can fill me in. I'm only like vaguely informed on stuff, but I think that would be also a prime opportunity for integrating customization into the game, because it wouldn't impact the main thing of you pick a shell, you pick a kit, and then you go in, but it would allow players to still have that level of customization and express themselves if you let them just create a character, even that's just for a social space. That's my idea. But someone shoot me down if it shoot the idea down. Someone shoot the idea down if that's actually not a fitting component because of the lore. You tell me. So yeah, that's the list. I don't really have many more thoughts other than I am still excited despite everything. Once again, I still think there's the potential for a really great game. As I said earlier, I am not an extraction shooter person, but I am more than willing to give this a try because, one, I like Bungie games, and I like Destiny especially. But yeah, I really hope that the next few tidbits of information that we get from them in the fall are not rough, you know? I do want to see this game succeed. I don't think there's any reason to try and, wish ill upon Bungie or the devs just because of some rough stuff that happened previously. I wouldn't want to wish any devs to lose their jobs. That's terrible. It's a really terrible thing, And with how much creativity and passion there is from these devs, I want to see what they can do. I want to believe that they can they can really make something special here. I'm excited to see them grow a new world, and yeah, that's about it. I guess let me know your guys' thoughts. If you agreed with me, cool. If you disagreed with me, also cool. Let me know. I will see you all on Tau Ceti.